Blog Talk Radio.
Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot, oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting adventure with Supernatural Girls Radio. I am your host, Patricia Baker, and I'm here with my trusty co-hosts. We have Patricia Kirkman, PK, our famous numerologist, and our equally famous psychic medium, George Lugo, is also joining us tonight. And we have a terrific guest. I can't wait to get him on the air. Antonio Moreno is here, and he is going to be sharing his perspective on UFOs, alien abductions, hybrids, possibly Bigfoot, and other things. And Tony has a long history in the military, and he is going to be sharing a lot of new information with us tonight. So, PK, let's start with you. You've got some numbers to share and some insights about the royal family. Tell us, what's going on?
We'll make it very easy because this is a 4 universal day, and we're just making a lot of changes with things ongoing. But I'm taking a look at, I broke down, I had to do it. I took a look at Harry and our little lovely Meghan, okay? Everybody wants to know what's happening with them. Well, you know, the strange part is Harry's in a one personal year. I shouldn't say one personal year, one life path. So he needs to be a leader. She is in a 4 life path, where she wants everything done her way, but she has the opportunity to make a lot of things happen. Now, when we take a look at the two of them, by the numbers, the relationship, it's not bad, but it's not going to be an enduring marriage. It'll last a lot longer than most people think, but I think they'll, shall we say, maybe fall out of love, because both of them are very headstrong and bullheaded. The only karma that she has in her chart deals with dealing with family wanting things to be perfect. Well, that's her karma. She doesn't know how to do it. And we've always seen that, how she's treated her own family. The second family will say the father's side, the mother's side, and now this family, and the marriage just prior to this. And Harry, he's in for fresh starts. This is a 1 year for him. If she allows him, and I do mean it that way, to take the reins, he's going to step up to the plate a lot more. But she's in a 7 years, so there's a lot more legal things going on for her. And they're being sued by a newspaper in England, and her father's going to take the witness stand to be for the London press against them.
Wow, really?
So I thought that was very interesting. That says a lot, because she can say he was this, that, or whatever, but he was there. He raised her when the mother left her when she was 11. So, you know, she has no loyalties. That's what the key to everything is. But with all this stuff, don't be surprised if she doesn't, quote, become pregnant within the next couple of months, if she's not already, okay?
Whoa.
Because she uses things as a distraction to get what she wants. And what more to get a little TLC from everybody than to become pregnant and have to make this major move that they're making on their own behalf. And I think Harry's going to be a little sorry down the road, but, you know, it is as it is. He's always had to play second fiddle to everybody else. Now he's got a wife he's got to play second fiddle to. Don't think that's going to go over well. But
wow, isn't that interesting?
Not bad, but it's going to be different. Very, very different. But her father, she's putting him down, but the bottom line is what she's done to him. And I think if you think of when they got married, her mother sat in one pew all by herself, not another soul around her during the wedding. Mm-hmm. And she hadn't had much to do with mother prior to that, so it's kind of like, I guess she needs props. I guess that's what it is. And if you notice, whenever they're taking pictures, she's not a part of the group. She's a part of looking at the cameras, always. Just a thought.
Yes, now that you mention it, that's true.
Uh-huh. She likes to see what she looks like and who's looking at her. It'll be
my
interesting.
Goodness. Very interesting, PK. Very interesting. You know, I was thinking about this, and I was like, I just don't think Diana would have approved of her. I really don't.
Oh, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I don't think so either.
Let's bring George into this. George, what is your insight about this?
Yeah, I think it was doomed before it started. I just knew, it's kind of like a fly in the ointment kind of thing, and the royal family does not like it. So it's going to come to an end. Those two.
Oh yeah, but it's going to cost.
It's going to cost a lot.
The entire family. It's bad enough with the issue they've got going because of Epstein, and now this taking place. I was hoping Queen Elizabeth would be able to transfer from this point to the other with a little less chaos, but a little more dignity. They're taking that away from her. She's always been very dignified.
Yes.
Yeah, they're not playing checkers. They're playing chess. So, we'll just see how it goes. There's a lot of money involved here.
Oh, yeah.
That's interesting, George. Wow.
Yeah.
Chess instead of checkers, okay.
Meghan being, you've got to remember first, her real name is Rachel.
Oh.
So in her world, it's all about her. Meghan is her middle name. That's her emotional side showing.
Mm-hmm.
So by the numbers, the relationship can be good or bad depending on how she decides to treat people. But it's all about her. Doesn't matter what you put in front of her. It'll never be enough. It'll never be good enough. She's always going to be looking for the next bite of the cake.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
well, I
much
think
right
you guys nailed it. I really do. So we're going to have to see what happens next. But it's been such upheaval over there. So many opinions. But I think you guys have hit the nail on the head. Good work.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yes, indeedy. Well, I just wanted to mention to everybody, if you want your own numerology reading, then make sure you contact PK. You can find her at patriciakirkman.com. You can also find her at supernaturalgirls.com. And if you want your own psychic medium reading, then George Lugo's the man to call. And you can find George at crystalgatereadings.com. That's crystalgatereadings.com. And if you want a soul realignment reading, life coaching, dream analysis, be sure to contact me. You can find me at supernaturalgirls.com. So we've also got our candles, which we're continuing to keep on sale. And, oh, my goodness, I have to mention this, another great show already lined up for next week. We're still going down the rabbit hole, everybody. We're bringing back John Edmonds. Now, he's been on the show before, but I had a nice talk with John today. He's got a new book out, which we all now have a copy of, and he is going to share some of the latest things going on at the Stardust Alien Ranch. He said there are some new aliens turning up, and they scare even him. And we all know John. He does not scare easily, so we're going to find out. No, he doesn't.
Boy,
he's a tough guy.
Something.
It is something. It is something indeed. So we are going to be talking to John next week. We will have read his new book, and we'll be able to let you know all about the latest and greatest at Stardust Alien Ranch in your backyard, PK, over in Arizona.
Know it. I keep wanting to go, but the other little part of me goes, I'm chicken.
I know, really. You never know what you're going to find when you get there.
I know it.
I mean, one person who was a producer on a television show stayed overnight there and ended up in a mental institution for a little while afterwards. So it's definitely not something to fool around with. You gotta be ready when you go to the Stardust Ranch. So we're going to be talking with John next week, but tonight we have a great guest. We have Antonio Moreno. He comes from a military family, and his family, even his family, had a high-level clearance. And he himself has been investigating UFOs since he was 12 years old, so a whole lifetime of adventure and military perspective and understanding with UFOs, alien abductions, hybrids. we have a lot of questions for Tony. We want to know, are we being groomed to accept aliens as our neighbors on Earth? I mean, there's a whole public relations campaign that's been initiated by the military, rebranding UFOs and hoping to change our perspective. So we are going to bring Tony on the show right now. Let's find out what's going on. Tony, welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you, Patricia. How are you?
I'm great, and I'm so glad that you agreed to come on the show. We're really happy to have you here. And you've got quite a history with UFOs, having such a lifetime interest.
Yeah. My family, we're going on the third generation military, and my nephew, he's in the military now. But we grew up on a military base here in Sacramento, California, and my parents were aircraft mechanics out of McClellan Air Force Base, and my mother was a crew chief aircraft mechanic on jet fighter planes, and my father was an aircraft mechanic on the bigger planes, and they both worked in front of each other out in the hangar. So we kind of grew up in the military, on military bases and stuff like that all our lives. And I always joke with my mother. My mother started working at the Pentagon when she was 17, but I always joke with my mother. I says, all right, well, you know how to work on jet engine planes there. I'm going to get into back engineering flying saucers. So it's kind of like, we started off with a lawnmower, right? Lawnmower engine. But, so it's been a lifetime thing. I mean, not only that, but when I was 12 years old, I'll explain how I got involved. It was we used to hang out at the swimming pool on the military base there because they had the PX there, the rec center, the bowling alley, and the theater, and the swimming pool. And so as kids growing up, we went to the swimming pool. And there were hundreds of kids in a big swimming pool and stuff like this, but they put a lot of chlorine in the water there. And so it had an outdoor patio with picnic tables and an awning and stuff like this where the military come in and have lunch, and they had a cafeteria there for them to buy food and things, and they'd sit out there and have lunch and stuff. But anyway, I had gotten out of the pool, and my eyes were burning and because of the chlorine. And so I sat down at the end of the picnic table, and to the right of me there was two military officers, and my eyes were burning and everything. And one of the officers said to me, says, son, you need some water? I said, yes, please, thank you. And I gave him some water, and I was rinsing my eyes off and everything, and I was looking at what they were looking at down at the other end, and with this file, and it said top secret on it. And me as a little kid had to be inquisitive. I had to say, hey, fellas, what's so top secret over there? So anyway, they looked at me, and they stomped, and they had a serious look on their face, and they said, son, who do you belong to? I said, well, my parents is Gene and Frank Mourinho. Over there on the flight line there. They're the aircraft mechanics. And, they hesitated for a second and went back to what they were doing. And I kind of slid down the table and, gave them the rest of their bottle water. But, it was one of these situations that, I always remembered. But I said, come on, fellas, let me see, so he slid the file over, and it was UFOs and Bigfoot.
Wow!
And first thing that come out of my mind was, I got to be involved with this. I'm telling them, you got to show me more. Is there more? And they, and they looked at each other, and they kind of said, well, you'll have plenty of time. We'll give you more information later on down the line. And as a 12-year-old, for me to comprehend that. And trying to understand what they meant by that. It was, I never realized that my whole life I would be surrounded by UFO information from all levels of activities going on this planet, and so after 49 years, I decided to, take a chance and come out. And, a friend of mine, she helped me to go out and start talking to people and sharing this information because you grew up in a military family and you were around UFOs all your life, and they want to know these things. So here I am today, 49 years later. And but yeah, if you have any questions about anything you want to know, I specialize in paranormal activities, Bigfoot, all kinds of mysteries that this planet inhabits here. So I'll leave that open to you guys to ask me any questions.
Well, let me start with that file, because you raised an interesting issue with that file, because you said it said Bigfoot and UFOs. What's the connection?
Well, see, when in 1973, up in Lummi Island, Washington State, the Native Indians experienced Bigfoot because they grew red apples up there. Some of the richest red apples in the country is grown up there in Lummi on the Indian reservations. And during the apple season, Bigfoot would come through there, and he'd take an apple and he'd take a big bite out of it, and he would leave it on the ground, and he'd leave a trail. And he would walk all the way over to the ocean, the bay there, the channel there, because on the other side, maybe a quarter of a mile was Lummi Island. And the story is that they would swim across the island in the channel there, Bigfoot would, and they'd climb up to the top of the mountain, and they would sit there, and they had quite a view of the channel there and stuff like this. And one night, the police chief had showed me, listened to the video. They had surrounded him in an area, but they weren't going to harm him. They just came out in their cars. And so he happened to have his recorder, and he recorded the sound of them. And you could hear another one off in a distance making noise to the one that was, had the spotlights on him. He was behind a bush and stuff, and nobody went after them or showed him any harm or anything like that. But he was able to get that recording, and I was able to hear that. And that was great when I talked to him about it. And so in 1973, my father, the military, they would fly up over to Washington, and they would start taking aerial photographs of small colonies of Bigfoot, that were there. And my father would, bring a picture home to me and show me and stuff. I says, wow, it was really fascinating. But,
So in terms of the connection that the military had a file with both Bigfoot and UFOs on it, did you have that explained to you as to how does that connection work? Do they work together? Do they know each other? Are they? Well,
you see, in the military, that we got to explore everything. If we had the technology to explore everything, we want to learn everything about everything. That's what we are taught. This is what we want to do in life. It's we have a reason for being who we are, is because these things are of concern to us. Our minds are capable of stepping outside the box and looking at the bigger picture here. As for the nature of the file and stuff like this, even as growing up myself, I had to take a look at, the reason why and all these things happened in my abductions and stuff. And it was kind of strange about what really happened, to me. But it just seems like I've just been clustered with UFOs information and data of everything coming from all over the world all my life. And
so somehow Bigfoot's a part of that. And I know when we were talking, you and I, before the show, a couple of days ago, you were mentioning how people don't find bones or skeletons or anything because Bigfoot lives underground. I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah. Well, we noticed that he comes up on top to hunt and for food and stuff, and sometimes he's a long distance away from his cave or the entrance and stuff like this. And so they set up, huts for the night, with wood and stuff. They build beams like a teepee type of thing and enclose themselves in it, or they find bushes of stack. I don't know, but they also climb trees and stuff like this. And so, yeah, we realized that, they're a ground creature. They live underground because it's safe underneath there. Up on top is where it's dangerous.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, we're a planet, a sitting time bomb with atomic energy, waiting for somebody to push the button. That's very scary to everybody, including the aliens.
Yes.
So. The thought that they have survived, we have reason to believe that, and we have evidence that shows that they've been here all the way back to Cro-Magnon, Neanderthal time.
That makes sense.
And,
yeah.
And none of them ever died. They just evolved a long time alongside us, and made adjustments to, live elsewhere. From separate themselves from humans and stuff like this. And this planet here, when you're in the military and you get to understand all these things, we have a lot of terrestrial activity going on here that's phenomenal. It's fascinating, and so I think, what I'm wanting to do here is explain these things. So whatever questions you keep asking me, then I'll be able to, explain more to you.
Sure. Well, George, you had a question you wanted to hear about Tony's abduction experiences. So why don't you go start with that?
Yeah. Yeah. That experience of yours, something else that you brought up made me think of what to ask you. Did you ever have anything to do with reverse engineering on any of these crafts or any of that? Have you gotten that far or seen that much?
Well, no, I would make a comment. Well, it looks like nuclear thermal electromagnetic propulsion systems,
Okay. Right.
that's when you back engineering wasn't my specialty, no, but I was aware of this stuff, but
sure,
of course you had to give it a name.
Right. Now, what about abduction? You said you were abducted. You were abducted.
Okay. Well,
what was that like?
It happened. All right. We grew up about 3 miles down from the military base.
Mm-hmm.
And before I get into the story, I want you to understand that we do have a lot of aerial activity around military bases all around this entire globe. Mm-hmm. And we have strange objects and things that fly in, and they have been disarming our nuclear weapons. So anyway, but let me get into the story here. So it was one day we lived across the street on the corner street.
What base were you at that time, honey?
McClellan Air Force Base.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
That's in North Highlands, California. And so we lived down the street on Watt Avenue, and there was an elementary school across the street from us, and we lived right on the corner. And my brother, I shared a bedroom with my younger brother. He slept on the window side, and I slept by the door side. And we sleep with our windows open. And we had the screen on them and everything. But one night, let me get into the first one first. I don't want to get into the second and third one. Okay, the first encounters was one day when the sun had just gone down. I went out to the football field that we had across the street at the elementary school, and I laid down right in the middle of it on my back with my hands spread out alongside me, straight out, and I closed my eyes. And they were closed for maybe 30, 40 seconds, whatever, but I just laid there and I opened them up. And when I opened them up, the whole sky was lit up with alien life, alien spacecrafts from all over the universe. And in that formation was a human plane. And this is what I was seeing with my eyes. And I closed my eyes again. And I just laid there. And I don't know how many seconds had elapsed. I opened them up and they were still there. And, it was like I seen it was like something was showing me the truth. I had no idea what it was at the time. You have to remember, I'm only 12 years old, not able to comprehend anything. But so I closed my eyes again, and I woke up and they were gone. And I sat up, and I looked to my left and right, and a part of me was familiar with my surroundings, and another part of me felt like I was a stranger here on this planet Earth. And then after that, I would say maybe a week later, it was one night, I had to get up and go to the bathroom, and I couldn't, because of something had happened to me. I found myself in a room. It was dark. There were lighted lights around the floorboard of this area here, and there was a gray creature. I was able to identify, what was going on here. And I was laying on my back, and he was ensuring me that everything was okay. And it was dark, and as my eyes were looking downward in that direction, there were two beings coming toward me. One was a lot taller and thinner, and another one I didn't quite get, what it looked like. But he looked at me, and next thing I know, I was just flipped over onto my stomach so fast that I don't know what had happened. And I felt, and it looked like a needle was going into my L1, L2 disc. I don't, and yeah, and so then next thing I know, I just I woke up to have to go to the bathroom. And I was scared, too, because I thought those little creatures were underneath my bed. And so I'd wet the bed. And so that was the first encounters. And then it happened again the same way. And I was scared to get out of the bed and go to the bathroom. And I wet the bed. And it stopped after that. And it just seemed like my ability to be able to understand things at a faster rate had I don't know. It was just I was
so
curious.
They enhanced your brain power somehow? Do you think that's what happened?
Well, after looking at this situation, of remembering this abduction, it just seems like there was a reason for everything. Mm-hmm. And not only that, I was able to be clairvoyant and a telepath and an empath. In the process of growing up to this very day, it was as if I have communication with them. And I know what they're thinking, and they know what I'm thinking, and they know what we're all thinking and listening to us now. I don't know if you believe that or not, but
I do.
These things are true. And so there's a reason why I guess I was put in this position to be able to study these things and do cross-referencing on these things. So one day I'd be able to come out and explain these things because, I did start a UFO website in 1996 when it went live. In 1995, I was on a chat room in Seattle called Speakeasy, and it was black and white. It was a UFO place, and I was posting information about UFOs. And then in 1996, it went live. And what I gathered was a group or someone out of Incline Village in Lake Tahoe had opened up a UFO website called UFOalert.com. And then it was sold to, I guess, a car club group of people by the name of a lady. I think her name is Barbara Dietrich. And so she had asked me to join. She had asked me to, I started posting. I came to the site, And she invited me to the site, and I started posting information and stuff like this. And it came to a point where she just said, whatever you want to do on it, whatever you want to post on it, whatever you want to say or whatever, just let me know, and we'll make these changes. And so since 1996, I had started posting UFOs, maybe over 200 stories, and about 46, 43 UFO pictures and stuff like this. I was filtering out information, because right now I'm at that point in my life, I'm in a need-to-know position, and I'm ready to disclose UFOs, but I'm going to filter it out. I'm not going to, because I had explained these things that it was important because we don't want another experience of Orson Welles in 1938 happening, where people panicking and everything. I says, well, then I got religion to contend with here, and so there's a lot of things here that need to be discussed.
Yeah, there's a lot of tentacles to all of this for sure. But let me take you back to your abductions, because it's a very interesting experience, and then you did feel some type of enhancement took place, which is something we've heard a lot. That's not unusual, but it's so cool. It's really interesting. However, I want to ask you about your parents with this. Were you able to talk to your parents about this, or did you just keep this to yourself?
Oh, no. My parents, my parents were very, very intelligent, and they go to work Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. My mother would come home, and she'd fix dinner for all of us on the table. We'd have dinner, and then we'd do our homework, and we clean up and go to bed for school the next day. And my father, he did the same thing. We didn't talk about anything, but on the weekends he was a mechanic on our vehicles that we owned and family owned, and he took care of them, and I'd help him out with being a mechanic on learning how to be a mechanic. Of course, I was one of those incorrigible kids that I was always getting myself in trouble because I wanted to find. I was looking for the truth. I wanted to find the truth.
I just was wondering, because that's quite an experience that you went through several times, and I was just wondering if you were able to talk to your parents about it, but it doesn't sound like that was possible. So this is something you ended up pretty much keeping to yourself.
Yeah, I didn't start speaking to this until later with my mother, because my mother had started working at the Pentagon when she was 17 years old. She was a typist there, and she had got hired out of Watertown, New York, at 17 years old to come work at the Pentagon. And by that time, that was 1945, and she had told me that there were 2,000 typists in there, and they were using the standard Bell typewriter. Of course, my mother had top secret security clearance. She didn't get that till later, but she was the second fastest typist in the Pentagon. She was typing 93 words per minute on the standard Bell typewriters with the ribbons.
My goodness.
So
my mother was fascinating.
So as you grew up with her, you were able to confide this experience with her later on.
Yeah, she never questioned anything. She knew I was probably the most intelligent child out of the family of her seven. But she understood where I was coming from and the way of life that I was living, and why I separated myself from the family, because I was more concerned with this rather than my family's life, because they have their lives and they got their children and they want to grow and raise their children properly and stuff like this, and they all have done that. And so I really come from a beautiful family of brothers and sisters, and we've had our ups and downs like everyone has, and so, but I've kept UFOs because there was so much information that I needed to know, and I realized that I was converting my thoughts with the aliens, and they were converting them with me. I hope it doesn't sound far-fetched, but
no, it doesn't.
You see, when mankind begins to understand his true origin of his entity and his existence, then he'll be able to understand the universe and all life forms, because life forms that come here, they don't speak English. They don't speak out of the mouth. They communicate telepathically. only the ones that look like humans in our neighboring galaxy here have learned our language and speak English and learned all the different languages. You know, I had I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Valiant Thor.
Yes.
He was in our on our planet for a while studying from Venus, you know, and trying to work with humans and stuff like this. But at the time, it was too complicated for them to tell the public anything. And so as I evolved into this project here and understanding all these things and was being groomed for this position here, I had to look at things from a scientific point of view, a religious point of view, a government point of view, a public point of view, and a military point of view. I mean, you can't point the fingers and put the blame on anyone because they were just doing what needed to be done at the time.
Well, you also said something very interesting, Tony, about the military, which I wanted to bring up tonight on the show, which is you said the military is still trying to figure this out. It sounds like a very true statement.
Well, here's the thing. You know, people have to have faith in us that we're looking out for the best of interests of this planet and abroad. You know, in the universe, we have scientists. We're looking for asteroids. We don't want to get hit by no asteroids. We want to have heads up and stuff like this. I mean, we're very, very concerned about the safety and well-being of this planet from natural disasters we've experienced in the past. That civilizations were destroyed because of global disasters from outside the planet destroying Earth. You know. And asteroids and stuff that hitting all over this planet, big ones. I mean, these are things that, and people are wondering, well, what happened to these civilizations? Well, all it takes is an asteroid and the smoke, and boom, they're all gone off the planet Earth. And, you know, the only things left is the structures, the civilizations.
Right.
You know,
I know that the military has a radar just to detect asteroids. And they keep an eye on all that stuff all the time, you know.
Well, yeah, absolutely. It's important that we, you know, because we care about this planet, we care about all the cultures, we care about everybody. We don't want to be in the wars, you know. We don't want to have atomic energy. We don't want the aliens scared of us. But in the same token, they want us to clean up this planet.
Mm-hmm.
You see, this planet is a toxic waste. From ground level to 10,000 feet, I got carbon monoxide killing this planet. I've got, you know, there's, you know how many aliens we have on this planet? Just roughly, I'd say 57 different species. Some are only like 3 feet tall, 3 inches tall. Some are, you know, 7
So
feet
we've
tall.
got 57 different species of aliens, and
right.
That's
yes,
a lot.
So I can't tell you all the names of them, but a lot of people probably can, because maybe they've had encounters with them and they could, you know, describe them.
Do they look like us? Some of them, some of the species, are they roaming around with us? You know, walking next to us at the grocery store. I mean, are they around us? I kind of get that feeling like they are. Some are.
Well, when I look at humans from my perspective and point of view, I look for what alien species they're from.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell, you know, what alien species they're from because we are the descendants of them. You know, they were here first, way before we were. You know, they genetically engineered us. And people need to come to terms with reality instead of a religion. The religions were created from the astrological charts of the Egyptians. They charted the stars and the seasons and gave the planets and everything, so they knew how to harvest and plant and grow things. And they were very, very intelligent alien species. They didn't need oil. They didn't need electric cars. They didn't need anything. They had their flying saucers. All they needed is a battery to charge them up.
Mm-hmm.
So they built these pyramids all the way around the world.
Right. So they obviously have access to a different kind of energy. But with 57 different races on the planet with us today, that's an awful lot. And some of them are friendly, some of them are not friendly. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, they're sinister. They're evil. The Greys. They've been on the planet. We have over 350,000 years, if not longer. They've been here, and so, when I got into trying to figure out the root of things and human's creation, because when I had to study religions and figure out what was going on here, as soon as I got into a few of them, I realized that where these religions came from, they came from the Egyptians' astrological charts, and they were changed. And they created these characters to play out the sun and the 12 disciples on them, and so they could control you and give you fear and give you something to live by, to be able to control you. I mean, you have to understand, humans were multiplying so fast in abundance, it was unbelievable. I mean, you have to think about it. Humans are like rabbits.
Yeah.
And they didn't have really an understanding of a moral code, so I can see where, in some ways, this, the introduction of religion might have been meant to serve a better purpose, but it also got very corrupted. So there's that ongoing problem with that. But even the Vatican today has their eyes on ETs and aliens and has openly come out and talked about it.
Well, yeah, because I told them to. They had no choice.
Oh, okay.
when you're going up against me, I'm going to call you on who God is.
Well, that's good to know.
I want physical proof. I don't want hearsay. And then when I after get done reading religion and cross-referencing them and everything, I realized that these people in those time periods, they were actually having encounters with extraterrestrials. They were being abducted. And then after they got abducted, they would go home, and they'd have these dreams and nightmares over a long period of time, and they'd be able to remember what had happened with their encounters with this being. And they go into the village, and they tell the people this story, and the people called them prophets of God because they were in the kingdom of heaven. It was bright about itself. And the Holy Spirit communicated telepathically to me. This is how they were describing, and I mean, I could pick at the Holy Bible, Ezekiel, the King James version, of all these, and Noah. Everyone seems to think. You want to know the true story about Noah? I'm going to tell you the true story. The true story about Noah. Noah was a sheep herder. He had no mathematics about anything. He lived in the mountain ranges. And aliens that came, we think maybe it was the Venusarians, and they may have came here, and they told Noah that an asteroid was heading towards Earth, and that he needed to build this ship-like structure a certain way, and they also gave him the technology to be able to do that. They also gave him time to be able to do that. And back in that time period, it probably would have taken him maybe 5 or 6, maybe 10 years to complete that ship. And because of the way it was structured and everything like that, is when the asteroid hit the ocean and the ashes were up in the atmosphere, it'd be raining for 40 days and 40 nights. Well, yeah, but you wouldn't be able to breathe it. So the ship was built a certain structure, especially the roof. The roof hung way, way down on the sides, and there was an air shaft that went all the way up to the top and would come into the main chamber. This way, the ashes and the air would come up. It would be filtered coming up that chamber, that passage all the way up to the top into the big chamber. They'd be able to survive it. But yeah, he was being warned that an asteroid comes. So Moses was telling everybody, and it's not. He didn't bring 2 animals of each. He just brought whatever he can. He brought his family and friends and stuff like this that believed him, that this was going to happen. And sure enough, it did. The asteroid hit in the middle of the Indian Ocean. It left a crater in there, size 1 mile or 2 miles long, It's still there today, this crater. So that repercussions of the asteroid, it's flashed up, and it spread this ashes in the atmosphere, probably longer than 40 days and 40 nights, to be honest with you. But whatever it was enough that wiped out everything. It was a tragic event that actually happened in this world. But the way religion describes it, stuff like this, even they have a lot to learn, about reality and and stuff like this. And I know the Vatican has coming out admitting to them that UFOs exist. I know that. I know that they know that. In all original, in all cultures around this entire
here's the thing. Even our own government is coming out and admitting a few things here and there. That's what we're going to get into next, is their PR campaign and rebranding UFOs and calling them UAPs instead of UFOs. And let's go there next. But right now, we've got to take a very short commercial break, okay? So everybody stay tuned for this fascinating conversation with our guest tonight, Tony Moreno. And we are going to continue going down the rabbit hole and find out more about what's really happening with UFOs, alien abductions, and hybrids. You are listening to Supernatural Girls Radio. We will be right back.
Pure essential oils, specialized minerals, and a revolutionary anti-aging technology. Astridian combines the best of all scientifically proven ingredients in easy-to-use creams, lotions, and concentrated serums. Astridian's advanced line of products take your skin to a new level of being healthy and beautiful. We offer a variety of collections that address all your skin concerns. The Essential Anti-Aging Series treats and moisturizes your skin for a long-lasting, younger look. The Multivitamin Series promotes healthy skin with high-quality vitamins and minerals. The Sports Series restores skin from cellular damage and stress. Astridian also offers a revitalizing solution for hair and a professional series for doctors and medical spas. Visit astridian.love today and begin your new journey to healthy, beautiful, youthful skin. Astridian, beyond your expectations.
There are a lot of psychics out there. How do you decide which one is right for you? You look for someone who empowers you, who's practical and spiritually connected, who says, here are your opportunities, here are your challenges, and here's a way to deal with them, and then gives you your own toolbox to make your life everything you want it to be. Hi, I'm Corby Mitleid, and that's how I work with you. As a certified professional tarot reader, I've helped thousands of people for over 40 years through my toolbox. Cards, past life retrieval, numerology, spirit guide conferences, and mediumship. Whether it's career, relationships, finances, or your spiritual road, together we can replace your confusion with clarity. And you'll probably find a little laughter along the way. Visit me at CorbyMitleid.com to find out how to cross your bridge from fear to fearlessness and fly. And tell me you found me at Supernatural Girls for a special gift with your reading. Corby Mitleid, the practical psychic for catching your tomorrows today. Find me at CorbyMitleid.com. That's CorbyMitleid.com.
Your property tax bill. Have you seen it lately? It's frightening. Your property taxes are going up while your home value is going down. It's time to fight back and win. For the real truth about the property tax system, get attorney Pat Quintilian's book, Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Attorney Quintilian answers all your questions and gives you the facts you need to fight a property tax bill that is spiraling out of control. You'll also read about what happens to property owners who don't check their property records, only to find out too late they're taxed on square footage, fixtures, and even buildings that they don't own. Is this happening to you? Learn your rights. Buy attorney Pat Quintilian's book today. Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Available on Amazon.com.
Are you frustrated with endless mantras, affirmations, and processes that promise to align your life with your dreams, only to find yourself years later in the same space where you began? Do you feel like you must be doing something wrong because nothing seems to be working? Don't you just wish that someone could shift your consciousness for you and your life could align with your desires without all the effort? Well, your wish is about to come true. Hi, I'm Carrie Cannon, and I have a gift that allows me to align the consciousness of others to be in harmony with their dreams. The best part is, it requires no particular effort on your part. Upon listening to a consciousness alignment, people have reported instant energy shifts, financial windfalls, soulmate connections, healed relationships, physical healings, and more. To gain access to a free trial offer for my entire Manifesting Miracles library of consciousness alignments, go to commandmiracles.com now for details. Again, that's commandmiracles.com for information about our free trial offer. That's commandmiracles.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Supernatural Girls Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker, here with my two lovely co-hosts, PK, Patricia Kirkman, and George Lugo, and our terrific guest tonight, Tony Moreno. He is here giving us his perspective on UFOs, alien abductions, and hybrids, and even Bigfoot we talked about earlier on the show. And now what we're going to move to is this whole new PR campaign that the military, I'm guessing it's the military, is rolling out, renaming UFOs to UAPs, and admitting, yes, there are crafts in the sky, and we don't know, they're saying, we don't know who's piloting them. We expect someday they'll come clean on that too. But, Tony, what do you make of this? What's happening?
I will eventually. I will eventually. It's a process, because people need to understand that in order to have a better understanding on a bigger scale of comprehension, it takes a lot of years to understand these things. And so I figured that, the population of this world, they could use a change, an upgrade. And I need to bring them up a few more levels and show concern about this planet and its resources and stuff like this. I mean, I'm ready to say, and to be honest with you, and this is for the record, is that 8 billion people on this planet, that's nothing. This planet can hold 25 billion people.
Really?
That's how much resources it has. Yes, 25 billion. So the thought of is overpopulated, get that out of your mind. It's not true. All it takes is everyone to work together in sequence with each other, making things better for each other's lives. We're living in a structure of some program that mankind created for his own purpose, not yours. And so, I've been posting this information now for since on the internet since 1996 to 2010. And I left that site because I'd already invited the Sci-Fi Channel, the History Channel, the Discovery Channel, and all these other organizations to come and listen to what I was saying. Because what I was doing is I was filtering out UFO information to the mainstream there. And next thing I know, she's doing advertisement on the website, making money off of me. I'm getting thousands and thousands of people from all over the world because it was the first UFO website to go global that are telling me their incidents. They're sending me their videos, their photographs, their stories and stuff. It got to a point where I couldn't answer all of them and I had to explain to them that I believe you, but I have to get this information out to you, and this is what you need to understand what's going on here. But I did not tell her the rest of it. But anyway, rumor got back to me that she was going around to different UFO conventions, talking to people like she knew everything. She knew more about UFOs than anybody else did, and then the information came back to me, and I just kind of laughed, thinking that good thing I never did come tell the people the rest of the story.
Well, certainly, a lot of people can. Well, again, let me just interject here for a minute. A lot of people get their ego mixed up in all of this, because everybody wants to feel special. They want to feel like, the aliens chose me. There's a lot of ego can bring us down the wrong road. But here's my question that I think we should all discuss is this whole rollout of information that's taking place. You certainly had the jump on it back in the 90s, but now what we're seeing is a whole new rollout on mainstream media. So now Tucker Carlson on Fox News, he usually does one UFO story a month now, which that was unheard of before.
Yeah.
Unheard of.
They were terrified to do it before.
Well, I kind of figured I did a good job. My intentions was to reach out for everyone to grab a hold of this, and that's what they did. And they ran with it, and they created their own episodes, segments, conventions, and all that stuff, and it got out to the public. This is what I wanted. This is what the intention was, to bring this to the public's attention and their awareness, all the way up from a military point of perspective and a government perspective, and this is what you're getting, right?
Well, we're finally getting pieces of it, because they really have to work on undoing the lie that this wasn't real. I mean, that's what the lie was for so many years, is that no, and all these people are seeing swamp gas or some other goddamn thing, but it's not. It's not a spaceship.
Yes, but they didn't know what was going on. How are they going to be able to describe it to you? What are they going to tell you? Well, this object looked like this, and it didn't look like, it wasn't an airplane or anything like that, and it looked like it was from another part of the world, but we don't know anything about it, and so we'll keep you in tune.
Well, you're right. I mean, it's like how you're right, because even law enforcement's the same way. I mean, they're not going to give you an answer about something paranormal because of the same reason. They don't know what's going on.
It. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Nobody has no way to describe it. That's why I was groomed for this position, and now this is your opportunity to ask me these things. I represent the United States government and the military, and I'm glad to come out because now I feel safe that everyone's comfortable with exposing it. And I have nothing to hide, but I have a lot to share. Now, whatever you want to know.
Let's go back to, George brought up an interesting question. Let's go back to that one, because George, you just asked a little while ago about, are these aliens living down the street from us? So are they? Are there hybrids living down the street from us, and we just don't even know that they're there? They're aliens.
Okay, I'll give you an explanation for that. Whereas I have different species of Bigfoot, whereas I have different species of humans, cultures, well, I also have different species of hybrids of aliens from human cultures that exist. Yeah, and there are hybrids. And I realized that I was a hybrid because I have over 120 cultures in my genetic makeup. I'm if I sound like egotistic, if I sound like this show belongs to me, that's not my intention. My intention is to share these things with your questions and stuff like this, and answer them correctly, so you have a better understanding that yes, what you're asking me is true, and it does exist. As to where they're from, we don't know that. We haven't had a chance to talk to them. We don't know nothing. All we know is that they're here, and I'm telling them why they're here.
Tony, I'm curious, with DNA the way it is today, is there anything in the DNA that would show if there's an alien part of your overall makeup?
In some humans, yes, but not in all. Because aliens only breed with certain cultures of human beings, generations upon generations. It's been an ongoing thing here. And, them breeding with humans, and especially I have this one specific one is called the Greys, where we have information that they are from Zeta Reticuli binary star system, and they came around here around the beginning of during Cro-Magnon and Neanderthal time period, but they've been breeding with humans, and it's been an ongoing thing. The reason why is because instead of them evolving, they're devolving, so they need humans to breed with. and they do breed with humans, and they do create their own gender-looking being through their own process. I gave a lot of this information to the X-Files, Chris Carter. His script writers would come over to where I was at on the internet, and they would gather this information, and they would put it together and show you these things, because what people fail to understand and realize is that, aliens and technology and things we started releasing began in Hollywood with Star Wars. With Star Trek, with Spock and Leonard McCoy, the original Star Trek, with warp drive. So the technology and alien technology and sharing the thought that humans are part of this cosmic makeup, is true. The thing of it is that now how do you explain it to people and for them to understand if they've been raised a certain way and they have their own belief systems, and if you take them away from that belief systems, what are you going to give them? If you're asking for the government, just to answer your question there, that the government should tell you, or you're asking the military if they should tell you, well, that's why they have me. And but I have a situation that's going on here, and it's very, very important that humans clean up this planet. The fossil fuel, the oil, 73% of it uses for plastics and material. The other 32% is used for automotive industrialization. We really don't need that. That's like change to the oil companies and these oil mongols and stuff like this. They pump you with this material work. Have you ever looked at this planet? Did you ever uncover any civilizations that had so much like we have from plastic material? No, because they didn't need oil. Then they have burned it, for life.
Now, I have a question. I've got a question for you. Can you please explain the chemtrails? Because when you call, like I've called the military and they say, what chemtrails? I call the airport. I don't see anything in the sky. I call the weather station. Nope, there's nothing in the sky. I don't know anything about chemtrails. They're just vapor trails.
They're all over the place.
They don't tell you that because
it's global.
Yeah, they don't tell you that because it's global. What it is I'm going to tell you what it is. Okay, I have, aliens that are coming into this planet. We don't know if they're going to attack us or what. So they're, the atmosphere is being coated with a chemical that if they come into this planet, and after they make their adjustment, if they can't make their adjustment, they blink out. But it's supposed to have some kind of chemical reaction on their ships. It's like a defense system, and it's the only flip side of that is that when the chemicals hit Earth, the ground, the ocean, the water, the buildings, the grass, all the infrastructure, when it falls on top of that, you get a tremendous fire damage that destroyed and melt homes down because of the chemicals that are doing this. I can't say we're at a panic mode because, we don't want to give up our atomic energy. That's our only defense system we have. But we've learned from alien technology that we have laser technology, we have all kinds of technology. We have ultrasound, we have magnetic fields and energies and all kinds of electromagnetic waves and everything going every which way going on right now because, it's a mess. It's a mess that this planet is in. The result of it is that people suffer. The governments don't suffer. The people suffer.
What George is bringing out is a very important question. But what I'm hearing you say, Tony, is that the chemtrails are to give the military a leg up on who's coming into our atmosphere. And at the same time, the chemicals in the chemtrails are so volatile that if a fire starts, it'll melt whatever has been touched by these chemtrails.
Well, yes, they kind of figured that they didn't anticipate what it was going to do to the ground. I mean, mankind seems to be very, very intelligent. I mean, he seems to feel like he's a genius and he can create this and do that and everything like this. I'm very upset. I'm so upset. That's why I have to come out here. That's why I have to confront the government on Twitter and tell them what the hell is going on here. I have a big problem here, and they're supposed to be representing the people, and they're not doing anything in nature except funneling our billions of dollars to other countries rather than put it back into our resources, rather than helping people out. I mean, I've never looked at a planet that's so pathetic that it pretends like it's going somewhere.
Well, it is very concerning to all of us as well, and so it does seem rather short-sighted to put chemtrails all over our skies for whatever reason, because the downside is too great.
Okay. Well, what about the carbon monoxide and the poison gases from the automobiles that have done this? From ground level to 10,000 feet, I have this around the entire globe, and nobody cares about it because all they want to do is complain to the government, and the government's not doing nothing because they don't know. I have a bunch of uneducated people in my government that are making decisions, and they're not making the proper decisions. I don't need these type of people in office. The future of this planet and where we want to be today, tomorrow, depends upon some form of unification on a global structure. What we have here, we have chaos. I got freaking wars that have been going on over 1,000 years on this planet, and millions of people die because of that, and it just doesn't stop. The bombing, every time they bomb over there in the Middle East, that pressure, when it hits the earth, pushes the atmosphere, the ground level up in the atmosphere. It separates it, and it changes its movement and creates all these things that you can't understand, volcanoes and hurricanes and destructions and everything like that. Everyone's trying to figure out, well, why is our seasons changing? The reason why our seasons are changing is mankind is responsible for this, and the aliens are pissed off about that, and so am I. And I'm trying to convey this to our government so they understand this, and they're listening. They are
thank
listening.
God they're listening to somebody. I mean, here's the thing, too, with all of this disclosure, because, I mean, we haven't had the whole truth out there. We may never get the whole truth out there. Do you see a time coming in 2020 when we will have more information, when they will disclose?
I'm doing this now. I'm doing this now. I am disclosing it. Whatever you want to know. I could tell you the origin of creation of humans if you'd like to begin there. I could tell you about paranormal activities and why we have these multiple dimensions that are parallel to our world existing with all kinds of life forms in it. I mean, all you have to do is pick one, Patricia, and I'll be glad to explain these things because this is where I need to begin, is because the public needs to understand these things.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think we all agree about this, that the paranormal is normal, and it's been laughed at. We've been made fun of because we believe these things to be real. We've experienced these things. We know what they are. But here's the thing that I want to talk about next, and you guys feel free to pop in at any time with questions. Interdimensionals, portals. We've had experience with these. All three of us hosts have had experience with interdimensionals and portals. So we've also been told by other guests that have come on the show that some of these portals are man-made and some are natural. And some are actually able to be used in a certain direction, so they're mobile. What do you know about these portals that let these things in and out? Quick, easy entrance, quick exit.
Well, here's the thing. Those portholes, what we discovered is that man can't travel through space and time normally. What we discovered is that space and time aren't conquered by space and time, but by spacelessness and timelessness, which means space and time collapse within itself and becomes unidirectional no time. It's like the rubber band effect. You have to reach out to time, and you have to pull it back towards you, like a vacuum tube. and then you thrust yourself into time without losing any time, or you could be either cease to be 3 or 4 dimensional, which would not assist your observation. So when they do it here on Earth, it looks like portholes because they're getting ready to leave because they weren't able to make the adjustment to stay here, and that's why they have to vacate this planet. You see,
well,
we do have
some of them are just
system.
visiting, aren't they? Some of them just come in and then take a look at what's going on, or they get food from us. I know a lot of them, for some reason, are big on taking our elk, and they take off with elk.
Well,
and that's
yeah,
been reported.
I mean, our planet's abundance with resources on top of the world and below the world, and I do have civilizations that live there, and that are far more advanced in technology than mankind could ever comprehend or begin to even imagine. And so if he doesn't want to explain it to you, it's because he doesn't know. That's because this person like me that was groomed for this to be able to explain these things about the life existence on this planet. I mean, we are ourselves, we're terrestrial entities. And yes, we do have inner multiple dimensions parallel to our world. We're living in the third dimension. The way the first dimension was described was, on the first dimension, things move back and forth. On the second dimension, things move back and forth, up and down. On the third dimension that we're living in is the second dimension and the first dimension existing along with us in the third dimension. And then there's a fourth dimension, fifth, sixth, seventh. There's more dimensions above us. So the fourth dimension is the spirit realm in which ghosts and paranormal hang out. If they die in them, is because, and we're seeing them and they're still around, is because they didn't know that they died.
Right.
They didn't grow old and move on. There's these spirits. Is they died. They didn't know that they died. That's why they're living out this life in this spiritual dimension above us. That's why we can see them. But and there's ways to communicate with them. But it's a dangerous place because there's different entities living in them and are very, very powerful and more powerful than humans are. And so understanding all these things about the lives that are entangled on this planet, I mean, it's like a library of activity going on that it is very fascinating to understand and everything like that. But the result
well, I think for a lot of people, for people who live a 9-to-5 life, it's a lot to take in. It's a lot to wrap their minds around. I mean, PK and George and I, this is what we live. We eat and breathe all of this stuff. So we have more experience with it. We have an understanding of it that is a little different. But our audience is very sophisticated, and they also have a grasp of the things that we're talking about tonight. They get it. Believe me, I think we have the smartest audience in radio. I really do.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
well, you know what's
great?
important. You know what's important, people, is that if you're learning to understand this and what's going on and everything like that, how's that going to apply to your life living on this planet and what's going on around you? And all we're doing about is complaining to each other about getting it fixed and trying to stop this and everything like that. It all comes down to, sure, you understand these things, but like I said, the majority of the population doesn't even have a clue. I mean, you have to look at the thing is, humans have been programmed. I mean, from day one, they've been programmed into believing certain things for a certain specific reason. And the program that they was created, the result is showing that they're destroying this planet with carbon monoxide and chemtrails and oil and waste and everything and diseases and things like this because they don't know how to keep a clean, healthy, strong environment for people to live in because they don't care. Those who don't care are the people that are running our system. And in order for us to put an end to this, we have to make them understand that there is good and bad on both sides, and there's nothing you can do about it for now, but you're going to have to work together in order for the future of this planet and where we want to be today, tomorrow. Tons.
Yeah, I think
But
that
it's not,
at least we are in agreement with that. But it's really what we want to know is more about these 57 races of aliens that have been here. Some of them are living down the street from us. I know I've talked to people who also have high clearance, and they tell me this all the time. They say some of them look like us, as George mentioned, and some of them don't. And it's a very, very interesting experience for us because we've watched the military and the government for so many years deny the existence of all these things, and now it's turning around. So not with Bigfoot, but it is turning around with ETs. So I know you said something about you wanted to put something on display this year. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe, it all depends. Right now it's premature for me to be able to make that decision here because I'm just getting started here. But I was thinking maybe 2020 would definitely give you a vision of the future and a story to go with it, that we're not alone and that we have aliens living amongst us and that we're descendants from them, and we can move forward here. But like I said, there's a threshold.
Tony, you got a point there. 2020. I just feel like that phrase 2020. How's it go?
Hindsight. Yeah.
2020.
You can see more clearly now.
Yeah. So all the experience that we've had all our lives up until this point, I think 2020 is it's almost like a metaphor for the clarity that's about to happen this year, on a lot of different levels.
Right, on a bigger scale of understanding, absolutely, and that's important because we claim to be an intelligence, and what form? We sit here and we can look at our problems and complain about them, but we can't get them fixed not unless we all work together. That's my point.
And that's the hard part.
In order to make that work, you need to put everything aside that you believe in and is and was, and start caring about the individual right in front of you.
Right.
Start looking after people right in front of us. In order to make things better, we have to make our lives better individually on an individual basis. I mean, I'm looking at a society where people can't even afford to pay rent anymore. Right. I mean, I'm living in California. I've got people living in cars and motorhomes all over the place.
Right.
I've got the biggest homeless population in the country.
That's true.
And and here's the thing is that, they're saying, well, there's no money and you can't make any money off the homeless people. Oh, really? Well, then have these diseases then, and have all these things and everything like that, because you can't afford to take care of them, but you got billions of dollars to give to other countries. So when I make my point, when I make my point of what's going on here with UFOs and all this stuff and the spirit realm and everything like that, I haven't even begun to tell you your true identity, humans' true identity. And the humans, I'll tell you, humans,
I'm ready.
Creation and identity. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
This is the truth of humans' creation. It was discovered that during the evolutionary process of this planet, that it came up to Cro-Magnon and Neanderthal time period from the discovery of ancient things that were dug up and stuff like this, that there was a missing link from that until the creation of humans. And what we found out is that the original Egyptians were from were from Zeta Reticuli. They come here. There were 4 of them. There was one male. There was 3 males and 1 female, and they came around Cro-Magnon time period, and they had gotten stranded here. I think they lost the war, and they got cast here. But I'll leave that question for later. But they needed to build some structures, and they needed the labor. So when they tried to program information into Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon, into their brain for them to be intelligent, it was virtually impossible. So they had said that they had spliced through cells 62 times to change the genetic appearance of Cro-Magnon into human, but they still were able to evolve and live alongside us. Now humans were created. The body, what I understand, was created that for a entity, an alien entity, a spiritual alien entity, is a living alien species like everyone else in the universe that was brought to this body to live in this body on this planet forever and be reincarnated through time. But as humans multiplied by the millions and billions, there wasn't enough souls that were brought to this planet. Now, this is what I'm gathering from cross-referencing all the data that was given to me 49 years now, all the way up to this date here, that they breeded with humans and they created humans, and humans created these things because there were other alien entities coming and going on this planet. This planet has been very, very active with alien life forms from all over the universe. It's been an ongoing thing to this very day. But when this spirit entity that we have are descendants of that are passed on through generations and generations. That, like I said, I was telling earlier, if you die before your time, or if you die and you don't know that you died, you live in the fourth dimension, which is the spiritual realm. There is life in that realm, and of course, that's where we live. But not in that specific realm, but on higher realms. And
right.
I
but
have all
again,
these...
for our understanding, you're talking about our origination. Certainly, we know we've been genetically manipulated, and that's why we are who we are today. And I found it interesting what you said about the ETs breeding with only certain groups of people. So they've identified, apparently, from what you just said during the show, certain groups of people that they do breed with, and others they just stay away from. They don't. That does make
and what
sense
happens
to me.
Yes, well, what happens to them, that breed of people, they end up breeding with different other cultures. And they end up breeding with different other cultures. And they end up breeding with different other cultures. So the genetic appearance of the species does change in its genetics. You can look in the faces. I can see when I look at humans, I can tell by the structure of their skulls and their eyes and their whole makeup about, what alien species they come from. But here's the thing: is that what purpose is it going to be for humans to know these things? Is it going to make them go to work? Is it going to make them clean up this planet? Is it going to make them give affordable housing for everybody? Is it going to make them utilize this technology? I mean, we don't have. We're using the consumption of oil. Really is destroying this planet, and I have to say this, okay? Because the oil lubricates the underground, the under earth. Its axis. It lubricates onto another entity of existence that are pressing up against us. Well, that's oil in there that lubricates that. You take away that oil, it just keeps going and going. You take away that oil, it locks up an area. And the friction and the rotation of the magnetic field in this earth, the way it's supposed to move, it's supposed to move kind of like in a drunken state, a barely thing that you can recognize. But that's because of the axis and moving, kind of like it's kind of hard to explain. But so the oil is killing this planet. And as long as you're pumped into believing the material world is more important than taking care of your neighbor, then you go ahead and live that life, and this planet will cease to exist. Not only that, but the aliens will come, and they will take off the ones responsible for this. Plain and simple. There is nothing that humans can say to prevent this, because they don't have because they there's a conflict because right now I've got this alien controlling humans, and they're the ones responsible for why this world is like it is today. You're
saying that all of this negativity, there is an alien presence behind it.
Yeah, there's an alien presence behind it, manipulating humans. And the humans, they manipulate humans. And they manipulate humans. It's a control thing on making you a slave. Have you ever thought about the billions? I have 328 million people, I guess, somewhere around there in this country here. And the majority of the taxpayers create billions and billions and billions of dollars a year for this country. But yet, our government and news media, the only thing they want to show you is the news on the Pentagon got $700 billion for its budget for the year. We gave $1 billion to this country. We gave $1 billion to that country. We gave $1 billion, but we didn't give it to our country and its people. And so,
yeah, I think that this is
a
huge error in judgment.
Yeah.
But I am seeing some movement, and I think everybody is that wants to see it in a different direction, where we're not just handing over dollars to countries that like we did in the past. So that's a good sign, in my opinion. It's about time.
To understand. Well, what you were failed to understand is that what was I going to say? I had a question. It was very important. But anyway, I want to take you back
let's get back to the ETs and that the fact that they are living here with us today. So this is something, and we've all talked about, that someday somebody's going to come out who's in the government, and they're going to say, yes, that this is, in fact, going on. And then what's going to be the result?
Yes.
I think if the conditioning continues on the path that it's on, that you will not have an Orwellian experience. You're just going to have people going, okay, and so what? I mean, that's I think what will happen.
It's no different than different cultures. We have different cultures, right?
Well, that's I think how it's going to be presented, right?
So all the way through time, we've had different humans and different looking humans. And that's the evolutionary process of this planet that people need to understand, and and not be focused on having a religious belief, and saying that this is the way things are and everything like that. No, that's not going to work. That system doesn't work because that's not the way humans were created, and that wasn't the reason why. We're a very, very intelligent entity. Very, very, very intelligent entity. We're very, very capable of solving any kind of problems that come our way. Doesn't matter. My mind specifically works so fast. I have answers for everything. I don't mean to have an ego or think I'm some kind of this and that you might think that I might be. I'm none of the above. I'm just one of those persons that cares about every individual and what goes on in their lives, because it's very, very important, because we live around each other. And in order to make these changes, we got to do that to each other, so they pass that on, and they change that and change that and change that. What we've been led into believe in. And if you're wondering if the government is going to tell you these things, the government can't tell you these things because it doesn't know what to say to you. The military can't. The military ain't going to tell you these things because it doesn't know what to say to you.
That's pretty funny. I think that's true. I think they're still struggling with that one.
It's very,
but I'm sure that they have a big PR team on this one. Yeah.
So, yeah, they do, because it's going to take a lot of minds to put this together.
I know. Mm-hmm. They should hire me.
Yeah, they should hire us. We should be the crew.
That's right. They need to hire us. We'll be on their team. Well, look, Tony, this has been a great evening spent with you. We really appreciate your time. Unfortunately, we're coming down to the wire here, down to the end of our show. And again, we just want to thank you for expressing all of these perspectives and giving us some insight about who we are as a people and what may be coming down the road. We do hope that you'll keep us informed going forward. We'd love to hear back from you, so stay in touch. Now, next week, everybody, we are going back to the Stardust Alien Ranch be sure to join us.
Okay, one more thing. I wanted to
latest.
answer your question, Patricia. One more thing I wanted to answer your question.
Okay, make it quick. We're counting down.
I am going to show this year alien bodies, 2 of them, and a flying saucer to the public. All right, you can look forward to that.
All right, let us know, okay?
All right. Thank you for being on the show. I appreciate being on your show here, and we'll talk to you later.
Okay,
it was nice
thank you.
You're welcome, man. You guys haven't.
Everybody
nice
will see you on the Blue Highway, and until then, have a great week.
I'm going gold hunting.
Enjoy it.
Okay. Good luck.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for another radio adventure with Supernatural Girls.